Assalamu alaikum. My name is Rushna Hussain Memon. I'm your host for this podcast, the podcast that is called Wonders, where I invite talented individuals to discuss about their achievements and so that we can learn from them. Let's introduce our guest for today. His name is Mike. And before going towards the discussion, I'd like to tell something about him. He received his national scholarship for undergraduate studies in Uganda. He was awarded gold medal at the end of his undergraduate studies. He then moved to China for 2 years to do his master's. And during the same time, he went for visiting fellowship at the University of Singapore. Just before that, he was recruited for PhD in several universities. And he decided to do PhD from Australian National University in physics, majoring renewables, which he finished in 2.5 years. He had a short stint for post-PhD training for 6 months prior to obtaining major fellowship. He has now become a research fellow and subgroup leader supervising PhD, master's, and undergrad students. So given his experience, today we'll be discussing about studying abroad and different opportunities related to it. Okay, welcome Mike on our podcast. How do you feel about it?
Fantastic. Thank you for having me.
That's great. So as Micah was telling about your achievements and which are great, I would like to know that why should someone choose to study abroad?
Good question, and it's a little hard to answer. But when you think about it, why should somebody decide to study abroad? This can be incorporated into different things. It could be because of personal reasons. It could be because of career reasons. There are different things which can be combined into this. So, like I usually give examples of me. I decided to study abroad because of many different reasons, of which the important reason was career-wise. Because I did want to get something like the opportunities we had, or the study opportunities we had in my country. Like when I finished my undergrad, we didn't have any courses within the nation where I could be enrolled, and I wanted to get better knowledge. I wanted to get more knowledge in the field I was in.
I think even in Pakistan is similar because people do not have a lot of opportunities here, so they do want to move abroad. I think it can be one of the reasons.
Yeah. So I think you cut this. So the main reason as why I decided to study abroad initially was because the course I was doing in my country was only offered at undergrad. So I wanted to get to know more about this, and the only opportunity I had, the only way I had to do this is I had to move abroad to get to study this.
Okay.
So,
and how do you think they should choose the country to move? Like, how do I know, like, if I want to study abroad, how do I know which country should I choose? Like, how did you choose?
this is in the scope of all things. This is also a very complex thing, because I mean, when you're undergrad, like I say, like I usually use my personal experience. Like when you choose to study abroad, when you are an undergraduate student and you don't have anybody like directing you, it's a complex thing to do. Usually it's kind of luck. Like the first thing that comes into this, or which comes into the scope of things, is where can I possibly go? Because I mean, you don't get whatever you want. Like when I was studying under my undergrad, many of my colleagues or many of my friends who usually wanted to go study in US or UK. But there's a difference between what you want and what you can get.
Yeah.
So as an undergrad, you should know that there's a difference between what you want and what you can possibly have. So what you want usually is different, and what you can possibly have is going to be different. And this is going to come back to what you already have, because what you already have, you'll see that when you're choosing a country, different countries have different they have different requirements for you, which you have to fulfill to get into that country. Sometimes you might not have all these requirements, It means, though you want to go to a particular country, because you don't have the qualifications to get into the nation, probably will never make it. So it's always good to select something. I don't know if I'm answering your question.
Well, yes. I mean, I also want to understand the process as to how you selected which country to go. Let's say, because you had so many options and knowing that you were selected in multiple universities, and why would you choose to go to, let's say, Australia for your PhD, and why not other countries, or maybe so is it something that is subjective to every person or every individual, or is it like again the same thing that let's see if you fulfill the criteria of one country and not the other?
So yeah, initially I was talking about undergrad, but for PhD, because I was a little mature, I kind of knew more about what I wanted, and I kind of got ready for this. I prepared myself for this. So what I wanted is literally what I got.
Okay, so let me just again make it more understandable for my audience who are from Pakistan and India and Bangladesh and Spain. So if let's say for a country like Pakistan, what do you think, which country should we choose initially for, let's say, my master's? What do you think would be an easy option for them to just get out of it and study and then explore afterwards?
Again, I don't want to go into circles, but I think maybe I don't want to say the easiest. I want to answer what's the best country to go to. So this is going to be related to your course, your type of education. Like there are countries, different countries are known for different things. Say, if somebody goes to Europe, usually you are going to get something with a practical bit of it. And then if you go to countries like in Asia, it's too much theoretical and too much. It's like there's some lack of originality into what you study. But then you go to US, there's some bit of originality of things, you understand things from first principles, then which comes also to UK, Australia. So it depends on really what things you want to do. Like probably if you want to study law, I don't expect you to be looking at going to MIT in that case. So there are schools which are good for specific things. So usually it's depending on what you want, then you have to target that. So there's a lot of information online which can tell you which is the best school to do law, best school to do music, best school to do engineering, best school to do this. So it depends on your background and what you are looking for. So there's no, I think that's the best answer I can give.
Okay, so it's I think it's the way that they should select universities as well. You, I think, would suggest the same, that they should select what area they want to study in and select the universities accordingly.
Yeah.
Or how do you think, let's say if I'm going to study in China, what do you think, which university should I select?
So, say if you're going to China, again it goes back, which course are you going to study? So like different universities in China are known for being the best in a specific kind of field. Like if you want to study, say, material science, perhaps you need to go like to Shanghai Jiaotong University or Fudan University. These are known universities. But then if you want to study political science, maybe you want to go to Peking or Tsinghua, this kind of university. So usually you look at the university, first of all you know what you want to study, then you look at which is the key university, which is the best university. That's really a perfect way to do it. But in the other scheme of things, sometimes because these universities are known for these different disciplines, sometimes it's not easy to get into their disciplines. It's quite hard. Then that's when you look for another tier. Like you can start, this is the top, but this is the second tier. So if you are really not good and not that competitive, you can always opt for the second tier.
Yeah.
As long as you don't select the worst.
Yeah. Also, there's this one interesting thing coming to my mind that should individuals, students be doing their research on their own, or should they be hiring an agent or somebody in the middle to do it for them? Because there are a lot of agencies, a lot of companies that are doing this thing for you, like they get your select your university for you and then help you with the documents and stuff like that. So do you think it is the right thing to do, to pay them and do it for you, or you think that an individual can do it themselves easily?
In a good question. In all honesty, I think it's better to do things yourself. That way, you get this learning, right? You learn how things work, and you get the you literally get everything from the core. Like, I can tell you, not many agents know what they are doing.
Yeah.
Especially if it comes to selecting your career. Why would you trust your career in front, to the hands of an agent who perhaps never even studied abroad?
Yeah, mostly they.
Or sometimes they studied abroad, but perhaps they didn't study the field you are in. That agent might know a lot about, say, engineering, but you want to study music. So this is going to be a mismatch. So it's always better to do your research and do all these things.
Right. So when selecting, let's say, obviously when we're doing our research as to which university to go to, and so how do we know our area of interest and while moving for higher studies? Let's say in Pakistan we do not have a lot of career counseling, and students, when they are doing their higher studies, they do not know as to which is their area of interest. How should they develop understanding about moving to some sector? They do not know what kind of fields there are, and so how do you think one should choose that?
Yeah, it's a good question. But I always say that it's always good to do research. Just before you want to get something, say you want to buy a house, or you want to buy a plot of land somewhere, or you want to buy a video game. It's good to know which is the best video game for you, right?
Yeah.
So, first things is, do you really want to go abroad, and what do you really want to study? These questions, nobody can answer them for you.
Yeah.
Even your parents cannot answer these questions. Usually there's something you want. But again, in the scheme of all things, life itself as it is, and education and everything as it is, at the end of the day, it's not what you want. The world has a system and the way it moves. Do you want to do what you like? Say you love music, do you want to study music when there is no demand for music? You get it? So you need to, I think the best thing to do is, usually the ideal thing to do is to do something you like, but which has demand in the world. Say music has demand, study music. Literature has demand, study literature. But if there is no demand for literature, and you love it, and you are going to move to New York, Manhattan, where you're going to be paying $500, $600 per week for an apartment. Yes, you have a degree in literature, but you won't be able to stay in Manhattan.
Yeah.
You get it? So it's always good to study something you like, but something which has demand.
And to the country that you're moving into,
and to the country you're
studying
moving
there.
and what you are looking for. Like, for example, in Pakistan, there are courses which you do and you are sure of getting a job, and there are courses which you do and never get a job. Say you study religious education and then you study Christianity. It's Islamic Republic of Pakistan, right?
Yeah.
So you are studying Christianity, you're not going to have a job. But if you study Christianity in some other nation, probably. An interesting thing about religious education is one of the top courses in the US right now. So it's just, you just need to know what's the demand, position yourself, and then take that course. But also, when you look at these top courses where you are, or where you are guaranteed to get a job, also try to match them with your interests. I think that will give you a win-win situation.
Yeah, that's right. I agree with that because we need to understand where we are going and then, plan our future accordingly. Because
Exactly.
obviously, if let's say I want to live in Pakistan, I should plan my future accordingly and study and, things in that way. So, let's say, all right, if you're applying abroad now and for studying and all, so let's say a student has applied and they've got into a university. So now they've landed into a new country. So what do you suggest them to do?
It's a little,
I
that's
mean,
another,
from a
all
very
this question.
academic point of view, yeah.
Oh, academic point of view.
Yeah.
So it's also a tricky question because different countries are going to give you a different scenario. Luckily, I've been to different countries before. So I think the first thing for a student when he lands into a new country is to just observe. Just observe the environment and learn. Be a student. To just learn what's around you. Know the places where you have to be and where you are not supposed to be. Know the A, B, C, D of what and what to do and not to do. Because different countries have different rules and regulations.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
don't want to find yourself in a wrong place. You get it? So I think as a student, when you land into a new country, depending usually students move out of their countries when they're above 18 so they can live on their own. So I think the first thing to do is to look at the environment, study it, and then know what to do and know what not to do. Otherwise, there are so many students who end up in a new country and then they get into very many big problems which you don't want to.
Yeah, exactly. Because moving into a new country and studying there, we obviously see a lot of people online who have a lot of problems living in a new country and studying at the same time and having nothing else to do but ending up in some problems. So they should be mindful of it.
And
also
also living in a new country is it's like a skill on its own because once you leave your home country where you speak the same language, you eat the same food, you literally think in a similar manner, and you move from that country, go to a country where you don't speak the same food, you don't speak the same language, even everything changes. So it's like you are becoming a baby who is mature, a big baby.
Yeah.
So you don't know anything, but you have to live. So it takes some time for even your mindset, even everything to come together to realize how to live in that way. Because some people are not, how should I say, they are not calm or they are not
Adaptable.
not the term I wanted to use. It's
Cut.
complicated.
God. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Some people are not what.
Some people are not, how can I say, some people are not humble. Some people are not humble enough. It's like some people are not humble enough to, I don't know, it's sort of
Constructed.
It's-
Okay, so while we were talking about skills, that living in abroad is a skill, I also want to know that knowing that there's a background of research at your end and you've been doing research throughout your life. So what skills are required for a student to study abroad? What do you think to do research especially? What skills do you think are required? Because
You mean the skills to study abroad?
skills in the field of research, I meant.
Oh, I think so.
Skills required for research, because knowing that obviously we'll be doing masters and PhD abroad, so you'll be researching, right? You'll be doing your thesis and
Many.
final projects and many things,
Yeah.
obviously. So the research is a common thing in all of these things. So what do you think, which skills are required for the students for doing that?
There are different skills a student should have when doing research, but probably we can sum them into one. A student should be able to ask questions and they should be asking the right questions, because all research is made out of that. Once you know how to ask the questions and to ask the right questions, then that's research.
Okay,
You know the
that's
why. Once you know the why, how, what, this kind of thing, but let it be the right question, then you're able to do the research.
That's really a very specific and I think a very informative answer as to how they should, they should have the skills to do the research.
Because research is all about asking questions, and also it's all about answering these questions. So the activities in research just try to answer these questions in the way to understand the question, in a way to bring about new product, in a way to improve product, in a way to make people's life better.
So how do you think we should develop interest for research? I mean, especially if I talk about Pakistani market, we have very lesser, very least of the our interest is this thing that people are not interested in doing research on things because they think because the way that we do research has been very boring and complicated. So students in universities, you would see them as they're not interested in doing research and they're not interested in their final projects and not very. So how do you think one can develop interest, since obviously research is a very important part of any country's development also. So how do you think one can develop interest in the students?
I think interesting.
Because I think this must be a thing for teachers especially who are actually supervising.
That's part of it.
Yeah.
But to get interest in anything in this world starts with, should I say, an example? So usually if you want to be in car racing, like if you find a kid who is very much interested in car racing, it could be because he or she has watched car racing and looked at some in the video and all of a sudden became interested in that. So I think it's the first and the easiest approach to get kids, to get people interested in research is by having live examples, by looking at, okay, we had this big problem. I just give you an example of coronavirus. COVID came. Who helped the world? Researchers.
Yeah.
So imagine if in a country like this, in Pakistan, there is a disaster like flood problem, and then you see people are suffering, and then at the end of the day, the scientists come in, solve that problem, and everybody in the nation sees it. Do you know how many people, how many kids are going to be motivated to be like those people? So I think first it starts with how the country perceives and how does the country really put a spotlight on scientists. You see, in most developed countries, scientists are given a platform to talk. They're given a platform to show what they are doing. Same in universities, all the innovations which come out, scientists are given a chance to come and talk to people. And then kids watch at home. They say, oh, these people did this. They become motivated, and then in the long run, they become. The reason that's why you see most musicians, artists, kids want to be like musician or artists. They have more.
Because we keep watching them.
Keep watching them. So kids want to be like them.
Yeah.
So all these things are like that. We need a mentor. If there's a mentor, then people are going to come in. Kids are going to come in to be like them. So I think that's the first thing. And then the second thing is, could be government policy. How does the government reward scientists who solve problems? Do they even get platform to make decisions? When you are drafting policies or something, a scientist consulted, you get it. So once people know that, okay, I could be useful for the nation,
Yeah.
they will always be interested. But if the useful people whom the government puts, like if the government always acknowledges politicians, all kids are going to be want to be politicians because they are given all the protocol, given 10, 5 cars to follow them. Everyone wants to be a politician because that's what kids think.
Yeah, that's
the
what they
best
see.
politician.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in the end of the day, you have more people trying to be like that. So this is a psychological thing, usually, how to get people into it. Then later in life, perhaps, if this never happened, and people are ready, say undergraduate students, and they want to go into research, I think this could come back to their supervisors, to the teachers, to the professors. How do they talk to them? If you're a good researcher, but you don't handle your students, you don't handle the undergraduates with respect, they're never gonna be like you. They don't want to be like you.
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, they just want to be finish their degree and go. So,
So how do you think they should, as we're talking about supervisors, how can students select their supervisor? What should they think before selecting one, if they are given a chance? Because most of the universities here, we're not given a chance to select our supervisors ourselves because they're given to us, and we do not have a choice. But still, some of them have choices. So, but what do you think they should think before selecting one?
I think as a student, I'll give you my ways of selecting supervisors. The first thing I used to do, or I used to put on my list, like which ticks, and this has to tick the box or not. I'm not selecting this person as supervisor.
Yeah.
First thing I always wanted to go with young people. Young people starting their career, these supervisors who are very young, energetic. I want to work with those. Why? Because these are the people whom you are going to give a call any time of the day,
Yeah.
and they'll come in. They don't have a lot of work to do, and they are looking for something. They are just
Available for you.
They're always available, and also they are still energetic.
Yeah.
But if you select somebody who's very old, but sometimes they might have more knowledge, but they're not going to give you this knowledge because they're not always available.
Yeah.
So it doesn't help you. You rather go with somebody who is going to give you all the knowledge and always available, and then later you build on that. Otherwise, so first I used to select other careers. If somebody is other career, I want that one. If somebody is 60 or 70 years, I don't care. I don't want to work with that.
That's a very nice
So-
way to see.
Then-
see that. Yeah.
Another thing selecting supervisors is, I think you look at their profiles and how is the quality of their research. Do they really, in their research, do they present ideas I don't really understand? I want that. If I read no idea those supervisors, they are presenting their research, I don't want to join that group because I have almost similar or close knowledge. So I want that.
So they won't add like a new.
So I want to really go into a group where I can. Then maybe the third thing is, do they have funding? Do they have enough money? Because without money, research, you can't do research. That's You need to travel for conferences. You need to do expensive tests. You need to buy new equipment. You need to buy things for health and safety. You need to do many, many things. So if there is no money in the lab, you're going to be doomed. So those are some of the things. There are so many things you need to consider, but those are some of the critical things I used to consider before that.
Which is great because obviously we need to know what we are getting ourselves into.
Yeah.
So also knowing that you are now Dr. Mike, and you also select your own your students, and you select PhD holders for your own projects that your university is funding, or you are helping them in that way. So what do you see in a student? Who is a perfect student for you?
For me,
Yeah.
when I'm recruiting, usually, recruitment is not easy.
Yeah.
Because you receive all these fantastic applications, you receive very bad applications, you receive all this kind of application, and then one thing I have to tell you that in the past I've recruited students into my group, but I can guarantee you the best performing student in my group didn't have the best CV when coming in. So that makes the process complicated as time goes on. Because every now and then I'm learning again and again, like, perhaps the best student is not the best student. So it's coming in again and again. But in the scheme of all things, one thing I realized which works of all the students who are performing really well is the background. If somebody has uncommon, unfamiliar background, there's a high chance they're going to make it. Like if you see somebody who's struggling, like had very poor grades, and all of a sudden grades became good, these are going to be really performing. So I don't like if you look at somebody who has A everywhere from high school, undergrad. It's interesting these people gave up after some time. They're not as they are. But if you find somebody who had very poor grades in high school, then grades started to improve a little. They're not improving perfectly, but they're just trying to improve. These people, it seems like these people have found out that they have a problem and they try to work on the problem and they're getting better and better. And this is what I've been seeing, that not the perfect CV is going to make a good student. And then another thing is, say you have something to do with, say somebody to work on hydrogen. So usually what the first thing, logical thing to do is to recruit a student who has been working on hydrogen in the past. But realize that doesn't work. You bring a student who has been working on hydrogen. He thinks exactly, sometimes like you, or he thinks like everyone in the field. But when you are doing a project in hydrogen, and then you bring somebody who has never even heard about hydrogen, their thinking is like out of chart. It's stupid thinking, but it's intelligent thinking. Because they really
because they
don't
also want to explore it.
Yeah, because it's like they are not spoiled. It's like they have a clean slate.
Yeah.
They don't have anything, and then and they come into a new field. So their thinking is totally different from mine. And in the end, they are the one who answers questions like, why didn't you try to do this earlier? Like, oh, you are right. I don't know why I didn't think about it. Because their thinking is totally different into that. So usually I want to pick somebody who is not exactly in the field, who hasn't been, because I know they're going to come with another mindset.
Yeah.
And this mindset is not my mindset, so it's going to make a better sandwich within the group. So when recruiting students, like, I realize that things which work is people not in the field, totally different field, try new thing, come in, think differently. Then another thing is, to explain is people with not perfect grades, not ideal students. These are, and then the third thing is people with non-academic achievements. So there are different people when they write their CVs, they put, oh, I was a gold medalist or silver medalist this, I got good grades here, my CV, my application is here. But then there's all research ends in the scheme of things, all research ends on what can it do to humans. Because if research is not going to help humans, it's useless. So usually if people have done they have some social experience, like they have done some, say, worked in communities, or
something good for society.
Something not academic but good for society, like they are volunteered in the police, say in that example, or they are volunteered in with working with elderly people, or working with kids or something. These people have a different way of how they
can help.
They can help, and also how they solve problems. So usually these kind of students, usually in the middle of the project, they ask themselves, and they usually ask me, but why is this project important? So you see they're trying to channel the project problem back to humanity.
Yeah.
So, but there are some people, because no matter what happens, if a scientist doesn't respect humans, he's going to be a dangerous scientist.
I think it is for all the fields.
Yeah.
Like if you're, let's say, in police, if you're, let's say, a doctor or a business person. So if you do not have a soft spot for humans, so I don't think you will ever
very
be.
dangerous.
Yeah,
Very
very dangerous. So I think I'll move to my last question, since it has been an amazing discussion. That knowing from you, understanding that how your career has been and how you see other people coming to this field, how do you think people who are thinking to move and to become a researcher in their career, what would you suggest them to do? And should people be choosing to be a researcher in their career or not? Like, is it like a high paying job? Should it be like, you become rich, or you just remain poor but you'd be doing research? Or what should motivate them? Like people who are just thinking about becoming a researcher but they're not, or maybe they're giving it a second thought. How would you want to motivate them?
I think for people wishing to come to research, the first thing I want to advise is, or I don't want to advise this, but I wish that everybody wants to come to research is not looking for money.
Okay.
Because once we start looking for money in research, trust me, everything is going to become very complicated. It means even if somebody gets a good technology or develops a best vaccine to cure anything, the goal is going to be how much money am I going to get from people.
Yeah.
So in the end, it's not solving anything, right?
Yeah.
But on the other end, a researcher or a research job is very rewarding because you set your goals
Yeah.
and then you achieve these goals. So I have to say that a research job depends on the individual, just like any other job. Like some people like to do research,
Yeah.
some people hate it. If you hate it, avoid it. Okay,
Right.
because you'll be a terrible researcher.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you love it, then I've seen people who earn literally almost nothing, but they are very good researchers. And in the end of things, they can take many years without getting good pay. But then all of a sudden, one very important thing comes and then you're super rich. So, but if you're looking to get rich,
This field is not for you.
it's not for you. Because
Alright.
research is something you start when you're not sure if you get the results.
Yeah.
You get it? So, in that case, it's not like, oh, we have to do A, B, C, we'll get B. No. You can do A, B, C, you get Z. A, B, C, or fail. So it's not something where you are guaranteed you are going to get successful. Sometimes at the end of the project, the answer is this thing doesn't work. That's the answer. You spent 10 years doing the same thing. You get it?
Right.
So research is it depends on what you yourself personally. If you really love research and really like to do research, you shouldn't think about money, you shouldn't think about all these other things. I think you just focus on research. I'm telling you, many researchers spend hours and hours in the lab, in the research facility,
Yeah.
just trying to solve some simple problem. Even sometimes a very stupid problem, like why this one looks like this, and they spend like days trying to figure out what's happening. You get it? When in actual sense, when you look at this particular small thing is trying to figure out, it doesn't help in any way. But because it has inquisitive mind and wants to understand why it's going, it spends all this time doing
Right.
that. So
I think it also is in again in all the fields. Like if you're interested in it and if you want to spend time, if you want to help people with it, you actually spend a lot of time working on it, regardless of how much money you're gonna get out of it. So again, we would end our discussion with some closing remarks by you. Mike, it was really nice talking to you, and
Thank you.
we hope that you continue to do this amazing work that you're doing and get successful even more in your future. And I just would like you to give some suggestions, some closing remarks on for students who are watching us, for teachers who are watching us, and suggesting as to how they can, study abroad. And you've already told a lot about it. So just some closing remarks from you.
To finalize or to talk about studying abroad and opportunities, I'll just summarize everything. So, to study abroad it won't solve all your problems. You have to study abroad only when you need to study abroad. I gave an example, like if you're in Pakistan, you want to study textile engineering. Pakistan is the best country to do textile engineering. So even if you go to US, you find that most of the products going to US are coming from Pakistan, right?
Yeah.
So why do you need to study abroad when you're doing textile engineering, right? So study abroad, usually you have to be strategic on what you want to study abroad. If you want to study AI, you want to study machine learning, you know where to go, right? So select the best. You select the best country to do that, and also you select the best university to do that. That's the ideal thing. But to go to study abroad, it's not like something easy everybody does. There are requirements you need to have to penetrate into a particular university. So the first thing to do is to know what are the requirements. Usually it's English tests, do some essays, they need sometimes they need some work experience. So you just have to write this down, tick one by one. Once you have them, make your fantastic application, and then you have a chance. But if you miss one of these, even if you submit 1,000 of applications, your application is going to be unsuccessful in the first round, because it's the computer even that does the sorting. They just say, if he doesn't have this application, cancel.
Yeah.
So you just waste your time. So if you don't want to waste your time, just make sure that you have everything in a box. Apply. If you fail, it means there are so many good applicants, obviously. So know why you failed, improve your application. So if last time you had English tests and English tests are not good, can you improve them? If you did GRE and the GRE results are not good, can you improve them? If yes, go improve them, try again. So sometimes you might fail once, fail second time, third time, and then fourth time you get in. So just learn from them. If you really want to go, don't give up. Just learn from your mistakes, improve yourself, and then go in. So that's how you do it. Select the best course whereby wherever you do it, after 10 years from now, think about which courses are going to be hot.
Yeah.
Artificial intelligence, machine learning, these are top courses. Why would you study literature right now? Wrong.
Right.
So just know which courses are best to study later and then incorporate them into what you really like. What you like, which is what is on demand. Think this, perhaps sometimes you can get somebody to help you. Many of our parents usually want us to be doctors, which is not the ideal thing. So you know which is your strength, which are the weaknesses, then come up with a course and then do that. And then when you have the opportunity, if everything goes well, you get the opportunity to go study abroad, know what to do. Don't waste your chances, because you don't have a lot of time. You have perhaps 2 years, 3 years to do that. So make sure that you learn what you have to learn.
And grow from there.
Grow from there. If you want to stay there, to work there, to come back to your nation, just make sure that you don't spoil your chances after that. And then you go back or get it here. That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's great. It was really nice talking to you, and hopefully if he gives us more time in the future, we will be talking about much more informative things that he already knows. So thank you everyone. See you in the next podcast.
Thank you.